What's up, everybody, and welcome into your NFL pregame show. I'm Rob Trujillo, and, well, I need you today. It is your NFL pregame show. So, of course, I expect you to be here and be commenting and be liking and be subscribing. But the other fellows bailed out on me. Feel free to act accordingly. You know, get on their social media, call them out for poor work ethic, because neither of them decided to show up for work today. I guess you can't really call it work because we don't get paid. we don't make any money on this, but the fellas not here today. David was at a wedding, didn't make it back in time, and Sterls out in California. If either of them would have let me know ahead of time, I would have booked somebody else to come hang out with me. You know what I mean? But here we are. Here we are riding dirty. You know what I mean? So get in that comment section. Let me know if you've got any questions on bets, fantasy, stardom, situm, survivor pools, whatever, man. Let me know if you got any questions on anything. I'll still run down the full day's worth of games, give you my quick thoughts on each game, and then bet it right here in front of you. I also have David's picks for this week sitting here on a little side screen, so I can reference at least what he has bet already when talking about these games. Big week in the NFL, and I don't say that every week because I don't believe it every week. There's some real duds out there sometimes. But we've got a great week of games that has already kicked off. Broncos dismantled the Saints on Thursday night, of course, but already kicked off today as well. Patriots up 7-0 in London on the Jaguars. And why I would turn on that game, I've got a TV that I can watch from my seat right here. And I literally thought about turning on the game, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave on the pregame show. I don't need to watch Patriots Jaguars, do I? Is that important? I feel like it's not important. But like I said, so get in with your comments and such. If you're watching that Patriots Jags game, feel free to drop me a note on what's going on. I just figured the pregame show would probably be more entertaining, if I'm being totally honest. So the week starts off with an NFC matchup that I think is more important than it's getting credit for. No one's really talking about this game. Granted, there are some great games this week, but the Seahawks-Falcons is interesting to me. Mental Health Guy's in. What's up, Mental Health Guy? Are you a fan of the double headers on Monday nights? Select Mondays. No, I'm not. I'd be a fan of the traditional doubleheader. I liked, what was that, 5-6 years ago, when they would do an East Coast game and then a West Coast game. What they're trying to do with like the overlapping, and we want it to feel like red zone and blah blah blah. It's really annoying. Not only when my team is actually playing on Monday night, but also just as a viewer. I know less of a chance that you get a dud because if two games are going on and one of them's terrible, you can just flip to the other one, which did happen earlier this year when the Bills were playing. The Bills were, up by 20 on the Jaguars. That game was over, and that Washington Bengals game was really good, but I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not a favorite of mine. I'll just put it that way. Monday night, also the first streaming only Monday night game. So you're going to have ESPN Plus to watch it, or find some other means of watching it. Who's their hair on the microphone? Get off. You know what I mean? It's a little hitchhiker. No, I guess that was nothing. Yeah, so streaming only Monday Night Football games, so you're going to need to have ESPN Plus or find some other way to watch that, which I think is going to be kind of annoying. But those streaming only games, I mean, I guess people do actually sign up for the service. Peacock approved last year, so good for them, I guess. But anyway, so this NFC matchup, I don't think it's getting enough publicity for being an important game. Seahawks and Falcons, two teams that I expect to be in the playoff race, but I don't necessarily think are going to win their divisions. I thought the Falcons were going to at the beginning of the year. They are 4-2, but I'm not so sure. I like the Bucks a lot, and they are 4-2 as well. It's going to be interesting coming down to the end of the season. But with a 3-3 Seahawks team, I think eventually the Niners get right and take that division, which means you could be looking at two wildcard teams here. Could be a game for playoff seeding or even just making the playoffs. This game could loom large here in 10 weeks or so. So Seahawks at Atlanta. First thing I'll say, everybody knows I'm going to say it, so I'll just say it. West going east, right? This game for those Seahawks players, going to feel like it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. And there is data to prove over decades that it does affect the West Coast team. It just does. Now, do the Seahawks have a plan for that? Are they prepared? I don't know. I mean, every situation is different, but West going east, always tough. Seahawks getting 3 whole points, and they're trying not to move that line to 3 and a hook. They're trying to punish you for betting the full 3 points with a minus 115 vig. They're trying to get you on the Falcons -3. I like the Falcons -3 if I'm being totally honest. And so does David. So like I said, David, despite not being here, sent me his picks. I got it up on a screen here. I like the Falcons minus the 3 points. I think the Falcons are going to continue to get better. And the fact that they've gotten through this early part of the season, 4-2, 6 games in, I think they're going to start figuring some stuff out. Kirk Cousins is going to get back into game shape, slowly getting healthier, right? I think their weapons, they're going to start figuring out how to use them. I believe in Raheem Morris as a head coach. Their defense, I think, is going to slowly get better. Remember, they added those guys late. They added those guys super late. Justin Simmons, Matthew Judon. So the more time they have on task, the more time they have together, I feel like that team's going to get better and better as the cohesion kind of plays a role. I think the Seahawks, when I do my evaluation of NFL teams, most of the time I look at it and I say most teams are 8-8 teams, right? Everybody's an 8-8 team. And then you've got that one game that's just kind of a one way or the other, right? That, I think, is really based on your roster, right? Then I feel like your quarterback's worth 3 games, your coach is worth 2. The best quarterback in the world is going to win you 3 games. The best coach in the world is going to win you 2. So if you have a great coach, great quarterback, great roster, all of a sudden, you're winning somewhere around 14 games, 13 games, something like that. If you've got a great coach and just an average quarterback, I think you're winning around like 10, 11 games. And that's what I think the Seahawks are. I think the Seahawks have a good coach. I think they have an okay quarterback. I think they've got a decent roster construction. And so if you start them at 8-8 and then just kind of go from there, I kind of feel like you get to a spot where they're going to win about 10 games this year. They're 3-3 right now. And that's if everything goes well for them. They're going to win 10 games this year. Geno can also quarterback is worth 2 games either direction, right? So if you have a great quarterback, it could be worth 3 wins or 3 losses if you have a terrible quarterback, AKA like a Will Levis. You know what I mean? So it can swing both ways. As long as Geno plays league average, I think they end up around 10 wins. So like I said, I feel like this could be an important game in the playoff run down the stretch. I feel like I like the Falcons. I'll leave the 3 points. I'll put the 3 points on the table and take the Falcons at home to beat the Seahawks by more than a field goal. All right, Titans, Bills. This one, flirting with my rule. Those of you who have watched for a while know that my rule is if a team is 10-point dog, you take them and you don't think about it. Works out a lot of the time. Patriots, 9.5 points. Headed into Buffalo. If you've watched the channel before, I don't bet the Bills games. I feel like I have a little bit of rose-colored glasses with the Bills, so I don't bet the Bills. If I was betting this game, I would pick the Bills minus the 9.5. I think they are going to murder these fools. I really do. You saw what they can do when they have an inferior opponent and they come out motivated. And let's see. The Titans are definitely an inferior opponent. Their D-line's tough. They can run the ball, which are two things that have given the Bills trouble before. I don't foresee them giving the Bills trouble today. I think they're going to be motivated with the trade of Amari Cooper. I think a GM making a move like that sends a lightning bolt through the team, gets them pumped up, gets them ready to go. And I think he's a fine gentleman with his Mayo commercials. But Will Levis is just a disaster, man. I mean, he really is bad. I think the Titans might end up with the number 1 overall pick. Shador. Probably the number 1 pick. Probably the first quarterback going. Does Dion let him go to Tennessee? Ugh. Probably not. That'd be interesting too. That could cause some. Tennessee and Cleveland, I think, are in line for that number 1 overall pick. And I don't know that Dion would let Shador go to either one of those teams. Oh, well, what can he do? He can do a lot of stuff. He can make a lot of noise to make sure that those guys don't get drafted by that team. Mason Rudolph is starting for Tennessee. I didn't even know that. I'm literally watching the pregame show. Nobody's mentioned it, which should tell you how much that matters. Yeah, I mean, listen, Mason Rudolph is fine. He was better than Will Levis, but it definitely doesn't change anything. I would still bet the Bills. I'd still lay the 9.5. But, you know, there are stupid games all the time. So if this is one that you want to take a shot at and see if it's one of those stupid games, then go ahead. David does. David thinks the Tennessee Titans plus 9.5 is the play. That's his pick. But like I said, I don't bet the Bills because I'm a little too Bills friendly, I think. But I do think the Bills are going to win by a large margin here. All right, Bengals and Browns, NFC North matchup. And, I mean, if you will, an NFC North elimination game. Granted, we're 7 games into the season. But that's an elimination game, right? And if it's the Browns who get put down, thank goodness. Thank God. Because I don't think anybody wants to see them around. They're experiencing some real heavy-duty karma right now for blowing up the NFL with one of the worst deals in football history. For a quarterback who cannot play, and for some reason they won't bench him. I do not think it's a Kevin Stefanski problem. I think if they fire Kevin Stefanski at the end of the year, I think it's a mistake. I mean, he's not my favorite coach in the league. I just don't think he's the problem here. Bengals minus 5.5 on the road, and they're trying not to move that line again. They're trying to punish you a little bit. Make sure you trying to get you on the Browns plus 5.5. They don't want to move it up to a full touchdown. They don't even want to move it to 6 points, which is interesting to me. I wonder what they know that I don't. Let's see. Maybe Deshaun getting benched? Do they know that? Maybe. Let's see, Browns. Yeah, we should mention Nick Chubb, by the way. Incredible that he's coming back. I don't expect him to be the same player that he was 2 years ago, year and a half ago, however long it was. But he is returning to the lineup today after that devastating knee injury. Good to see him make it all the way back. He was always a favorite of mine. He played at the same time, I think, as Todd Gurley at Georgia, and everybody was going crazy for Gurley. And I'm like, I like this Nick Chubb guy. I don't know. And it turned out he had the much better, longer, fruitful career. I just like the way he runs the football, man. And I think he's a good dude. So he returns to the lineup today for the Browns. I think the Bengals are backs against the wall. I don't think they're a great team, but I also don't think you need to be a great team to beat the Browns. So I'll take the Bengals. I'll lay the 5.5 points. It is nearing that number where I'd start to get a little, I don't know. The Browns do play close games for the most part. I don't know how, but somehow they're in those games all the time. But I'll take the Bengals here, and I'll lay the 5.5 points. Let's see, what's David doing? David, same thing, laying the 5.5 points, taking Cincinnati. Let's see, mental health guy. Off the current subject, but what do you do if you were the Saints GM? Just purge the current roster and start from scratch. The cap situation is horrendous. The cap situation has been horrendous for a decade. And the fact that they haven't really addressed it, I mean, ever since they had Drew Brees getting older, and I mean like when he was 36, you know what I mean? 34. They're like, oh, he's running out of time. Let's burn up our cap and we'll fix it later. And it's part of the reason Sean Payton left. You know what I mean? It was just a disaster. Why you have guys like Cam Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu and even Demario Davis on that team, I don't know. They tried to reset it with David Carr. They tried to reset it with Derek Carr, and I feel like that was the best they could have done at the time. But I think the jig is up. Right? If I'm the Saints GM, you know, we're fixing this cap thing. We're gonna have a year of pain, and yeah, just I mean, I'm going all the way to the bottom. Probably 2 years because you're gonna have to eat a bunch of dead cap. I'm seeing if I can trade Cam Jordan, even though, you know, he's one of those like sons of the city. I don't know that they would trade him. Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm probably holding on to Shaheed, even though he's hurt now. So you're definitely holding on to him. Definitely holding on to Olave. I think those are guys where I think to myself, these are probably the foundation for a new quarterback, a new regime coming in, and, you know, try to trade Derek Carr. Probably what I do. I mean, you can hold on to Carr and still sink and go to the bottom and see if you can get a draft where you can take a quarterback there. But yeah, that's probably my move if I'm the Saints GM. I'm blowing it up, and I'm fixing that cap situation finally. You know what I mean? All right. What's next on? Oh, great game is next. Houston Texans at the Green Bay Packers, 5-1 versus 4-2. Jordan Love looking like he's getting back to being himself a little bit after that week 1 injury. The Texans rolling on all cylinders. I think they're probably the hottest team in the league right now. I don't think they're actually the best team in the league. And yes, that includes the Vikings. I think the Vikings, before their bye week, I don't know. I think the Texans are playing the best football in the league right now. we'll see how long that lasts for. It's different when you're the hunter and you're the hunted. Yes, I know that there are undefeated teams. I don't think they've been playing as well. I think they're both coming off buys, if I'm right there. Andy Reid will get that team right, and so will Patrick Mahomes. But I don't think they're playing great ball, and I think the Texans are. So it'll be interesting. That NFC North is just cruising right now. Absolutely cruising. I think the worst record in that division is 4-2. I think it's possible you have all 4 teams make the playoffs from that division. I think you'll definitely get 3. And I like the Packers are still one of the youngest teams in the NFL. Just a reminder. You know what I mean? So all that Aaron Rodgers stuff a couple years ago, I mean, give credit to Gutekunst. He stuck to his guns and has rebuilt that team into a contender in just a couple short years. And of course, having the quarterback helped. Getting 3 points heading to Lambeau, man. Who would have thought this time last year that I would say anytime I'm getting points, anytime I'm getting points with the Texans, I think I'm going to take them. CJ Stroud just has that it factor. He feels like he always keeps it close. I like the Texans defense. I don't necessarily think that there's a lot of good players on that offensive side of the ball for the Packers. I don't think there's a game changer on that side of the ball. And I feel like the Texans have a couple of them. Nico Collins, of course, on IR. But I think that Texans team, yes, I think Stephon Diggs is still a playmaker. I think Tank Dell, I think he's really, really good. I like Tank Dell a lot. And so I think that's what it's going to come down to, is a little bit of somebody making a play. Because you got 2 pretty good quarterbacks who hang in there and find a way to make it a game each time. So I'll take the points here. Just because I do think it ends up being a field goal game, and it's one of these quarterbacks at the very end driving down and getting a field goal at the end of the game. So I'll take the 3 points for the Texans. Feels like a little bit heavy of a spread to me. Maybe that's the Packer effect. Maybe that's the Texan effect, where people still don't think of Houston as a powerhouse, but I think they might be the best team in football right now. So yeah, I'll take the best team in football with 3 points. It's kind of where my head's at, and we'll see if DeMeco Ryans can keep this team rolling as the hunted instead of the hunter. Dolphins and Colts. Miami got news over their bye week that they expect to have Tua back next week. I am torn about that. My football career ended because of concussions. I don't know. If doctors say it's okay for him to play, who am I to tell him not to play? You got to understand, it's a lifelong dream. And I would have given a whole lot of stuff to play in the NFL, right? Including years off the end of my life. I would have done it. So who am I to say, Tua should retire? A decision for him and his family. But I'll just tell you this. It's hard as a fan, having seen him laying on the field the way that he has the few times that it's been real bad. And a couple of those were against the Bills. I think he's a good quarterback, man. I do, and I wish him the best, but that's tough. It's a tough call. So they come back today, and they are playing against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. Dolphins getting 3 points. And for all intents and purposes, if they get a win today, I think every Dolphins fan would have told you, hey, we just got to keep it afloat until Tua gets back, if they knew that Tua was coming back. You get a win today against the okay Colts team. You're 3-3, Tua comes back. I mean, you're live. You're live, right? Especially if the Bills happen to drop a game they shouldn't lose against the Titans. But even if we're not talking about for the division, even if we're just talking about a wild card, you're 500. Breathe life into that Dolphins fan base. Tua coming back absolutely will do that. So that news coming out before the game starts, I think is huge. I think it affects the team and affects the mojo a little bit that they can have. I still think they have a talented roster. Always felt like they had a talented roster. And I think those guys are going to go out there and say, man, like, hey, if we can just get one here, it's going to be, I think, motivating for them. No doubt that Tua could come back and that they could still be in the race. So I'm going to take the Dolphins, who are getting 3 points on the road. I, again, think this is another close one. Most of the games in the NFL are. So if you're giving me a full field goal here, it just feels like too much. I'm taking the Dolphins with a little Tua bump added onto it. Let's see. David is on the Colts at home -3. I don't think I told you his pick for Green Bay and Houston. He is on Green Bay -3, so he's on 2 home favorites there. He's got Green Bay -3 versus Houston and Indy -3 versus Miami. I think that's still a talented roster. It's been interesting listening to Mike McDaniel. He sounds a little dejected. You wonder if that news this week of Tua coming back sends a jolt through that organization and wakes that team up a little bit. Like I said, plenty of talent on that roster. And 3-3, they're right there if they can get a win today. All right, let's see. A couple more 11 o'clock games. This one, killer game, I think. And I think it's clock striking midnight time. Lions 4-1 headed to Minnesota to play the Vikings, who are 5-0. I still think the Vikings are a little bit of a paper tiger. Yeah, 5-0. And I think they're a paper tiger. But I'll take the Lions. And you know what? I'm even going to eschew I'm just going to take the Lions straight, money line. I think the Lions win this game. I think they're an absolute dynamo. Yes, I think that Aiden Hutchinson going out is brutal for them. And I think it hurts their chances to win a Super Bowl. And I don't normally say that about guys who aren't quarterbacks. But I think Aiden Hutchinson is one of those few that it does matter that he's out. That being said, I think the Vikings are a little bit of a paper tiger. I've said it a bunch of times. So they went in. They were on the bye. They're coming back, and I don't know. We'll see, I guess. There's always that team that gets off to a real hot start, and then by the time you hit Thanksgiving, you're like, ooh, what happened to so-and-so? Well, I think the so-and-so is going to be the Vikings this year. I think we're going to hit Thanksgiving and we're going to look back and say, like, oh, Vikings clinging to a wild card spot. Excellent. Good for you. So we'll see. Maybe they prove me wrong. I think their roster is good, not great. I think their quarterback turns into a pumpkin. I think their defense is good. Sure, they have an all-world wide receiver. That's really all I have to say about the Vikings. Lions, on the other hand, an incredibly dynamic offense, an experienced coordinator, an experienced defensive coordinator, And I don't think they're going to stand pat. I think they're going to go make a couple moves here, try to get a pass rusher to replace Aiden Hutchinson. I think the Lions end up winning that division. So I'll take them to win this game. And I'll take the money line, Lions over Vikings. Let's see, what has David got here? He's got Minnesota minus, and he laid 1.5. It's down to a point. But he took Minnesota minus 1.5 at home. Again, I'll take the road dog, and I'll take the road dog for an outright win here. And then the last of your 11 o'clock games, Eagles and Giants. Saquon Barkley's return to the Meadowlands, and I'm making a lot of picks based on emotions here, but I think that motivates these guys. I mean, you saw what Stephon Diggs was able to do to motivate that Texans team against the Bills. Don't tell me that Saquon Barkley, with an actual revenge game, not a revenge game that is manufactured because you forced your way out, Stephon, with an actual revenge game, don't tell me that the Eagles aren't going to come in guns blazing. And I think the Sirianni stuff last week wasn't nothing. And that's the kind of thing that either the guys all rally behind or the guys are like, what is this coach doing? And it'll be interesting to see how they respond this week. But yeah, betting a lot of bets for me based on emotions this week, which I do not love. But yeah, oof. Seen a guy with a sign that said Saquon Barkley, never a Giant. I don't know about that, dog. I don't know that you want to go that far. But yeah, returning to the Meadowlands, and I think he goes off. I mean, I think it's just going to be it's going to be a murder, a massacre. That Giants team has been able to hang in. I think that's a credit to Brian Dable. That Giants team has been able to hang in and look decent, but I just think they're devoid of talent. And I think the Eagles are going to run them over, get to 4-2, and try to set their season right after a win over Cleveland last week. All right, we're into the afternoon games, which means we'll take a little quick commercial break here and be back on the other side. We'll finish up with the rest of the day's games. Oh, I should tell you David's pick. David is also on Philadelphia -3. So we're going to run a commercial real quick. We'll be back in just a minute. Send that off and running. Commercial question. You know, I didn't even think of a commercial question. Let's see. Commercial question for the day. All right. So Yankees make it to the World Series last night. They have 26 titles, 27. And it's super annoying that they tell you that all the freaking time. So my question is going to be, who is the most annoying winningest franchise? Right? So let's see. It would be Celtics with 18. I guess Steelers and let me look this. Let me make sure. I think the Steelers and Patriots are tied with 6. So it would be, your choices would be Boston Celtics, New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Yankees. What sport am I forgetting? Hockey. But I don't count some of those older cups. And there were 6 teams. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go Red Wings. Well, no, but even they have some original 6 cups. Because like Montreal Canadiens have 23 cup wins, and I don't know, 10 of those, 15 of those are when they're winning 16. The Leafs have 13 cup wins. They haven't won a playoff series since like the 90s. You know what I mean? So welcome back if you were in the commercial break. The question is, what's the most annoying winningest franchise? I guess we'll throw the Montreal Canadiens in there because their lead is significant over everybody else. You know, I'm trying to look and see maybe Penguins, Oilers, but we'll throw the Canadiens in there. New York Yankees, they're back in the World Series. If they get another title, they'll extend their lead for the most championships in baseball. I think the most annoying of those teams. See, I've got so much personally invested in hating the New England Patriots. Patriots and Steelers each have 6 Super Bowls. Celtics, I believe, with 18 NBA titles. Yankees with 27 World Series. And the Canadiens with 23 cups. Who's the most annoying of those teams? I've got so much personally invested in hating the Patriots. So that would probably be my pick. But if I was just looking at it objectively, I'd probably say the Yankees. But God, I mean, those are just awful fan bases, aren't they? All the way around. All right, let's get into the afternoon games here. Raiders and Rams, the game you're going to ignore of the day. Raiders getting 7 points, going to LA. This is so weird. I just have to say, this is really strange to me. These two teams often play road games in their own building. The Raiders can't get anybody to show up and support them in LA. Did you see that Steelers-Raiders game? I mean, good Lord. And they're going to go to LA and play a home game, I bet. I bet it's going to be a mostly Raider crowd. It's just crazy to me. It's really stupid. So the Raiders getting 7 points against the Rams. Full touchdown, essentially at home. They're the Raiders. Man, this one's tough for me. Listen, the Rams have been a mash unit. At some point, they need to start getting healthier. Aiden O'Connell, I believe, starting for the Raiders. I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to lay the 7 points. I think the Rams are the better team. They're definitely the better coach team. I think the Rams are the better team. And you feel like they've been close on a bunch of these games. So the 1-4, I feel like, is a little deceiving. And apparently Vegas does too. Not the Raiders, but the books in Vegas think so too, because they are a full touchdown favorite, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, give me the Rams. I'll lay the 7. But that's your game you're going to ignore of the day. David on the Raiders plus a touchdown. All right. Panthers and Commanders. David on the Commanders minus 9.5. We are just figuring out if the Commanders are good. And I do think they're good. Don't let this reflect otherwise. But awful loss last week to a good team. But awful loss last week with a young quarterback and a young team. This is one of those games. 9.5 is too much. Beating the teams you're supposed to beat in the NFL is hard to do. It really is tough. And I just feel like this is one of those games. This is one of those gotcha games. Now, I'm not saying that they lose. 9.5 is too much. Panthers are going to scare the daylights out of them. And Commanders, I think, maybe win by a field goal, pull kind of thing. But, yeah, I think this one is upset alert. So I'll take the Panthers plus 9.5. Put a scare through the Commanders here. And like I said, I'm spoiled with the Bills. Don't get me wrong, they have their stupid games, but lots of times when they are supposed to handle business, they handle business. Commanders are a young, good team, and I don't know that they're there yet. And then your game of the day, Chiefs and Niners. I don't even know if it's your game of the day. I mean, TV put it in this primetime window, but Vikings, Lions, Texans, Packers, both maybe better games. Chiefs and 49ers is your 225 game, your 425 game if you're on the East Coast. And Chiefs getting 1.5 as they head to San Jose to play the Niners. I struggle with this one a little bit because I think the Niners are still real good. But if you've listened before, you've heard me talk with Sturls and David about the fact that the Niners were going to struggle through the first part of the season. I don't know that we're all the way through that yet. It's going to be hard to gauge as to when we believe that the Niners are going to start getting healthier, that they're going to have a little bit of cohesion and start to run away a little bit and run off some wins. We could be there. This could be that turning point in the season where those 3-3 Niners got a win, had a 10-day break, right? Last Thursday they played. Yeah. Got a win, had a 10-day break, and now you get an important game in your house. Feels like this might be the moment that the Niners start to turn it back on. Chiefs, on the other hand, also coming off of a bye. So the Niners had 10 days. Chiefs had 14. Kind of crazy, but that's how that works out. But Andy Reid off a bye is incredible. And the Chiefs are getting 1.5. Man, that is a tough thing. Let's see what David's got. David is betting Kansas City plus 1.5. And if I know David, it's because of that Andy Reid off the bye week. I'm going to take the Niners. Here's why. The Chiefs, to me, lack the playmakers that San Francisco has. I think the buys are a wash. I think Andy Reid is incredible off of a bye, but he's not undefeated off of a bye. He's lost once or twice. And I'm going to say he loses this one. Yeah. I'm gonna bet San Francisco here. 10 days off. And I just think that star power is going to start to shine through. I think Nick Bosa is going to eat today. I think that defense, I think as it gets healthier, is going to get better. That offense. Listen, we talked a lot about Trent Williams and how he could roll out of bed and play the best NFL left tackle, be the best NFL left tackle. But I think same thing that I've mentioned with a couple of guys. Now, a month and a half into the season, 10 days off to give his body a break. I think you start seeing the best from him. I think you start seeing the best from guys like Kittle, Ayuk, who missed camp, right? And I think now you're going to see the same thing. 6 weeks in, didn't have camp to get ready. Now he's been playing for 6 weeks. You give his body a 10-day break. I think they're gonna start rolling. Debo always beat up. I think he's missed a couple games this year. Yeah, give me the Niners. Give me the Niners. I'll lay the 1.5 and fly right in the face of David, who is picking the Chiefs. And I do think the Chiefs just have a talent problem. I really do. I mean, they're leaning on Kareem Hunt on offense to move the ball. And I get it. Tom Brady did it for years with nobody. Patrick Mahomes is a wizard. Ton of credit to him. But I just... Xavier Worthy, I don't know. I just don't think I don't think they have enough talent. And the Niners, with all those superstars, I think the talent shines through there. So I'll take the Niners minus 1.5. All right, and then your Sunday night football game, battle of the train wrecks, and not in a sense of record or anything like that, but the 2-4 Jets versus the 4-2 Steelers. Okay, Jets fired their coach, changed their play caller, lost on Monday Night Football, traded for Devontae Adams, and Hassan Reddick apparently reporting this week for a D-line that needs his help, right? Needs any kind of help they can get. Steelers benching a 4-2 quarterback who, everybody's like, well, he could have played better. He could have, but played, pretty well. Not great, but pretty well. For a guy, Russell Wilson, who I haven't said that about in 2 years. Think about that. It's just madness. Now, Tomlin apparently addressed the team. Apparently he said to them, we want to get a look at Russell Wilson with this offense playing quarterback before we get too late in the season. And that, I believe, at least is a reasonable explanation for why you start Russell Wilson here. Because you don't want to do this experiment in week 10 or 12. Okay. All right, I get that. Right? But I might have just stayed with Justin Fields. I don't know that I need to see the experiment unless I have to, right? Unless Justin Fields plays like crap or gets hurt. I don't know that I need to see Russell Wilson with this offense. If he feels like he does, then okay. Yeah, you're right. You should do it earlier in the season rather than later. Because if you do it earlier in the season, you can get your quarterback into a groove through those last 8 games of the season. Make sure everybody's pulling in the same direction as you start looking towards the playoffs. So that at least makes a little bit of sense to me. But Russell Wilson with the start tonight. Oof. Man, I'll tell you this. If it was Justin Fields starting, I don't know that the Jets would be favored. I really don't. But here we go. I'm about to bet on Russell Wilson. Oh, God, it's just making me sick. It's turning my stomach. This game. I cannot with this game. All right, so Jets minus 2.5. David is on the Steelers. He bet the Steelers plus only 1.5. It is now up to plus 2.5 because Russell Wilson is starting. But I'll take the home dog here. We'll take the Steelers and the 2.5 points. I think the Jets are going to win some games and figure it out. I think this may be one of them. The reason I am betting the Steelers plus 2.5 is because I believe the Steelers will take the lead at some point, and I'm going to bet the Jets right after that. I'm going to middle the hell out of this game on Sunday Night Football. So with that Steeler defense, I think it's close enough that I'll take the 2.5 points simply for betting purposes. I'm going to bet the Steelers plus 2.5 points, and then at some point during the Sunday Night Football game, I'm going to bet the Jets plus 4.5 or something like that. Build myself a little bit of a middle. I do think the Jets are going to win this game. So if you're just betting money line, I bet the Jets are minus 140 right now. That's not a terrible number. But I do think the Jets are going to win this game. Matchup wise, especially if you got Devontae Adams in there at wide receiver, I think their weapons are much better than the defensive backfield for the Steelers. I think the D-line for the Steelers is going to mitigate some of that because the D-line for the Steelers is very good, in my opinion. The D-line for the Jets has been struggling, but so has the offensive line for the Steelers. Their weapons have been struggling, but you wonder if somebody like Pickens plays a little bit more inspired, thinking that maybe he's going to get the ball from Russell Wilson where he wasn't getting it from Justin Fields. Speculation. So I'm going to say the Jets win this game. I think it's going to be close. I'll take the 2.5 to start with, and I'll definitely bet that game in the middle of it. And then, as mental health guy mentioned, he did drop another comment in here. Let's see. Does Pickens benefit from this change? It's going to be interesting. Russell Wilson does like to get his guys the ball. So it's when I was watching him here in Denver in training camp, when he found a guy that was his guy, he goes to him a lot. And I don't know who that guy is because I haven't watched the Steelers practices. But if when he's taking reps with the first team, Pickens is his guy, then yeah, he will definitely benefit from the change. 100%. Here's the other thing. And this is part of the reason that I don't love George Pickens. It's in his head. So if it's affecting him mentally, if mentally he feels like he's got a better shot getting the ball and he goes in there with a better attitude, listen, it absolutely could make a difference. 100%. Even if he doesn't actually get the ball more, he's just running routes harder, better, faster, stronger. It absolutely can benefit Pickens. But I don't know how much ball Russell Wilson has left in him. So it'll be interesting to see. Cortland Sutton was that guy. Really that guy for Russell Wilson was Tim Patrick, and then he got hurt. But in camp, they were incredible together, and you felt like they were going to be great. But then it switched to Cortland Sutton a little bit. And you saw that with the Broncos. There were a couple times where Wilson just threw it up and Cortland Sutton went and got it and made some incredible catches. If Pickens is that guy for him, then yeah, absolutely benefit him. And then, as you mentioned, mental health guy, Ravens, Bucks, Chargers, Cardinals, a Monday night doubleheader. Once again, these games only 45 minutes apart in start time. Make it a traditional doubleheader. Let the East Coast have a game that starts at 7 o'clock. I wonder what your numbers would be if you had a Monday Night Football game that started at 7 o'clock. Everybody on the East Coast tells me how much they love those early primetime games. And that's where the majority of your population is. So I feel like you'd have huge numbers. Ravens -3.5 headed down to Tampa Bay to face the Bucks. Interesting that that game is in Tampa Bay with everything that's happened down there and a couple hurricanes. Thoughts, of course, with everybody down there. You wonder how ready the stadium is going to be for something like that. But must be in good shape if they're going to play the game down there. Ravens -3.5, Bucks +3.5 here. This one's tough for me. I want that 3.5 bad. I want that 3.5 bad. And I feel like I'm going to regret it. Do I let myself do it? See, this is one I'd like to talk out with the fellas. You know what I mean? But neither of them decided to show up to work today. So, you know what I mean? We're without Sterls. without David. Didn't care to tell me till the last minute, so I couldn't even book somebody else to be on. Love you guys too. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Bucks. Home dog, 3.5 points. I do like home dogs a lot. It's a Monday night football game, which means everybody's going to be a little turned up. I think Baker Mayfield in primetime thrives. I really do. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. When the pressure's on, when the lights are brightest, I think he plays his best. So I'm going to bet on, I hope he's playing. I know he's missed a couple games this year. I'm going to bet on Vita Vea. I'm going to bet on who's the old linebacker, the old middle linebacker. Is it White? Not White. Whatever. Doesn't matter. He's an old man, and he can't really cover anymore. But he can still stop the run, and he's still going to hit Derrick Henry in the mouth. So, yeah, I'm going to take the 3.5 points. I'm going to take the 3.5 points, and do I think the Buccaneers win? God, why do I think the Buccaneers win this game? I'm not overly impressed by the Ravens' defense. I know a lot of people are. I think they're just a real solid unit. They've lost some of the dynamic play calling, I feel like. They purged coaches this last year. Not because they were getting rid of them, because they took opportunities elsewhere. The coordinator is now the head coach in Seattle. A couple of the position coaches are now coordinators other places. So, yeah, I think the Ravens D is just solid, just really good. And that still says a lot, especially in today's NFL. But I think Evans and Godwin present them problems. I think corner is not their strongest position. And like I said, God, just because I like Baker Mayfield that I'm doing this. I think Vita Vea can anchor that defense against the run and make it tough on him. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Bucks. And this is going to be – I like to go through and do like a 3-dog parlay where I pick 3 underdogs that I think can win. I think this will be on my 3-dog parlay. I think I like the Bucks plus 155 money line. But we'll see. That'll be interesting. That's your early game in the Monday Night Football doubleheader. Not really a doubleheader. In the Monday Night Football slate. 8:15 start Eastern, and that's the one that's available on ESPN and ABC. They also have a game available only via streaming. That's Chargers and Cardinals. And, man, these are 2 teams. I'm trying to think as I look at the rest of the list. Oh, by the way, David is Baltimore minus 3.5. He's on Baltimore on the Ravens there. These are – I'm just kind of scanning the rest of the matchups this week. I think these are the 2 teams that I'm just not entirely sure what they are more than any 2 teams. I just get a weird feeling with both of them. The Cardinals, I think, are better than they've shown, and then they let me down. The Chargers, I think, are worse than they've shown, and then they come out and just punch somebody in the mouth. I think the Chargers are a reflection of their coach. I think they're minus a lot of talent. And as they backfill with talent, it's going to be – team's going to get real good real quick here. The Cardinals, I think, have a lot of talent and just don't believe in themselves yet. So I really struggle with these teams. David is on the Chargers minus 2.5. In Arizona. It's a really tough one for me. I mean, the Chargers, no doubt, are going to smash them in the mouth. But I don't think, I mean, I think the Chargers should have lost to the Broncos. The 2 other wins that their wins are like Broncos, Raiders, Panthers, I think, for the Chargers. Ugh. Hate this game. Ugh. Terrible. Chargers, Cardinals. I'm going to take the points. I find when I hate games as much as this, that I should just default to taking the points. Cardinals getting 2 points at home. I'd love for that to be a full field goal, but I'll take the 2 points and just kind of see what happens. I do not like this game at all as far as betting goes. Probably like the Chargers to win, but the more I think about it, I just hate this game in terms of betting. But I think it'll be fun to watch. We'll see. Evenly matched teams, in my opinion. All right, and then before we get out of here, Jags up on the Patriots 22-10 halftime. Like I said, I like to do a 3-dog parlay. We don't normally talk about it on the show because we go so long that I don't want to keep everybody for a little bit longer. But we're through in just about an hour today, so I'll go through and I'll pick my 3-dog parlay on the show with you guys. So my rule for the 3-dog parlay, I normally put whatever odd money I have on it. So like right now I've got $2.41 off of like a rounded number. Not a lot of money, right? So I putting $2.50 on it. But the idea is that I'm going to go through and pick 3 underdogs that I think will win, can win. And I'll put the $2.50 on it, and it'll be a huge number. And if I get it, I win, $80 or something like that. So that's why I like doing it. All have to be plus money. All bet money line for the 3 dogs. So let's go through and see here. One thing I do hate doing is putting the same teams that I bet on my straight bets because then if you lose one, you lose 2. You know what I mean? But I think that's going to happen because I picked a lot of dogs this week. All right, so if I'm putting this together, I'm thinking Texans plus 125. I like, don't love. Dolphins plus 130 is interesting, but I probably stay off that. Lions are even money. Technically, I could bet that, but I won't. Chiefs are plus 105. I might put the Chiefs in there. Steelers are plus 120. I don't hate that. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Plus 155. Tell me not to. Somebody, anyone, hop in here. Talk a little sense into me here. All right, so if I do Texans, Chiefs, Bucks, that is plus 1,076, which means my $2 and what was it, 41 cents? That only gets me 28. It's normally a bigger number than that. Let's see, I do have a little odds boost token here. Let's see what that does. Makes it 36. Chiefs are killing me there at plus 105. Steelers are plus 120. I could put that in instead. Let's see what that does. If you have any dogs that you like, feel free to give them to me. So Steelers makes it plus 1,500. And that gives me $40 on 2. I just don't want to bet on Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? I think those are the only ones I like, though. Lions are technically underdogs. I don't like the Browns. I don't like the Titans. Seahawks. I don't want to bet on the Seahawks. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs there. I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I'll take the win. So, Texans money line, Bucks money line, Chiefs money line, and essentially $2.50 to win me $40, $35. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So that's my 3-dog parlay for the week. Yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, last minute questions, if you guys got them, feel free to send them in. Give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. I see a lot of you are watching from Sterl's Twitter. What's up? Go follow me on Twitter at RobTRadio. You know what I mean? Give your boy some love. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, follow. All that stuff. And I know people say it at the beginning of every video and it becomes a little bit background noise because people just kind of say it all the time. But it does help, man. It makes a difference. Like we're just dudes doing content creation. And it doesn't cost you anything to give us a like or a subscribe or a follow, and it helps us out a lot. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And then feel free to hit us up on social media. You know what I mean? Tag us in whatever. Call us out for our picks. We love going back and forth with people on there. Girls and David and I even give it to each other a little bit. So feel free to follow us on social media and say what's up. We will do Broncos film breakdown with Coach on Tuesday around noon. We'll do a Bills podcast with Sterls Tuesday night. And then we will have various other times that we're on these channels. So come by and say what's up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Appreciate everybody for being here for your NFL pregame show. And we'll see you next week. Make sure you come back right here. Start at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. That's 7 o'clock in the morning. And I just want it noted one more time that the guy who hates waking up that early is the one that showed up for work. So that's me. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.